Welcome to Project U. We're all about one simple but really powerful idea.
That taking these small, consistent steps, they can create massive, positive change in your life. And in today's explainer, we are diving deep into one of the biggest topics out there, success. We're going to cut through all the noise, and really uncover what it truly takes to succeed by piecing together some incredible insights from some of the world's leading thinkers.
Okay, let's dive right in by tackling the biggest myth of them all, the story of the self-made hero. You hear it all the time, right? That if you just pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you can achieve anything. But is it really that simple? Is our success story written only by us? Author Malcolm Gladwell, he argues that this whole idea, it just isn't the full picture. He says that to really understand why some people succeed, we have to look beyond the individual. We need to look at their family, their birthplace, and, believe it or not, even when they were born. And that brings us to this fascinating story of Roseto, a small town in Pennsylvania. See, researchers were just baffled because the people there had incredibly low rates of heart disease. And it wasn't their diet. They ate plenty of fatty foods. It wasn't exercise or their genes either. The secret? It was the town itself. The deep, rich, supportive community structure literally made people healthier and more successful in their well-being than any individual habit ever could. It just brilliantly shows that our environment plays a huge role in our story. So, if the world around us has such a powerful influence, what part do we play? Well, let's switch gears and talk about the one thing we always have 100% control over, our response. Success coach Jack Hanfield boils it all down to this really elegant formula. Event plus response equals outcome. Look, we can't always control the event. The economy, the weather, what other people do, that's out of our hands. But we can always control our response. And that, right there, that's where our true power lies. So if you don't like the outcome you're getting, you have to change your response. It's that simple and that profound. This is all about taking 100% responsibility for your life. And you do that by focusing on the only three things you truly command: the thoughts you think, the images you hold in your mind, and the actions you take. This right here is the foundation for creating the outcomes you really want. And this idea, it perfectly captures Stephen R. Covey's philosophy. He argued that in our modern, often kind of chaotic world, we can't just rely on external things to guide us. True, lasting success has to start from the inside out. It begins when we stop trying to change our circumstances or other people, and instead, we focus on conquering ourselves first. Okay, so once we've built that foundation of personal responsibility, the next step is knowing where we're going. You can't hit a target you can't see, right? Michelangelo, he knew a thing or two about ambitious projects, and this quote is such a powerful challenge to all of us. Are your goals big enough? Really, are you aiming for something that truly excites you, that stretches you, or are you just playing it safe? And this brings us to Stephen Covey's legendary second habit. Before you do anything, you have to have a crystal clear vision of your destination. It's all about designing your own future, instead of just letting other people or circumstances design it for you. Everything he said is created twice, first in your mind and then in reality. So how do we actually do this? How do we put it into practice? Well, it starts with being incredibly specific. Don't just say, I want to be healthier. No, say, I want to weigh 178 pounds by June 1st. Then you make it measurable. And as John Doerr emphasizes, you also have to choose the right objective, one that has a deep why behind it. From there, you add emotion, you visualize the outcome, and finally, you review it daily. You got to program your mind for success. Okay, so we've taken responsibility and we have a plan. Now let's circle back to those external factors, but this time from a position of power. Let's talk about how to actively navigate our world to find opportunity. This timeline of Bill Gates' early life, it's a total masterclass in what Malcolm Gladwell calls accumulated advantage. Now, was Gates brilliant? Yes, of course. But look at the opportunities he was given.
One lucky break led to another, and then another. He had access to a computer in 1968, which was incredibly rare. That gave him a massive head start. And get this, he was born in exactly the right year to be the perfect age when the personal computer revolution kicked off. Success is so often about being prepared to seize the opportunities that your environment presents to you. But what's really interesting is that it turns out that raw talent, it isn't the only or even the most important factor. Gladwell points to research showing there's an IQ threshold. Once you're smart enough, say around an IQ of 130, which is genius level, having an even higher IQ doesn't really translate to more real-world success. He says it's like being tall enough for basketball. Being 6'8" doesn't give you a huge advantage over someone who is 6'6". Other skills, things like creativity, persistence, and just plain practical intelligence, they become way more important.
So if it's not just about innate talent, what is it? It's practice. Deliberate, focused practice. I love this story. Before the Beatles were famous, they were playing in these little strip clubs in Hamburg, Germany, for 8 hours a night, 7 days a week. That was their Hamburg. It was grueling, sure, but it was a unique opportunity that forced them to get incredibly good, incredibly fast. It's where they put in their 10,000 hours to become masters. So that leaves us with a pretty critical question, right? What's your Hamburg? Where are you seizing the chance to put in the work?
All right, let's pull all these threads together now. We've seen that success isn't just about you, but it's not just about luck either. It's time for a new, more complete definition of what it means to win. So on the left, we have the old myth, this lonely path fueled only by individual brilliance, aiming for fame and fortune. But on the right, we have the reality we've been exploring today. True success, it's built on a foundation of internal character. It's guided by purposeful action, and it's achieved by recognizing and leveraging the opportunities around you. And maybe most importantly, it's defined by meaningful connections. This powerful quote from former First Lady Barbara Bush, it just gets to the very heart of it all. You know, at the end of your life, you're not going to regret not closing one more deal or winning one more award. You'll regret the time you didn't spend with the people who matter. This shifts the focus from me to we, which, just like the people of Rosito, is where the greatest fulfillment is really found. So I'll leave you with this question, and it's inspired by a classic Stephen Covey metaphor. Imagine your life is an empty jar. You have these big rocks, your most important priorities, like your health, your family, your life's purpose. And you also have pebbles, the smaller, urgent, but less important tasks. Now, if you fill the jar with the pebbles first, you'll never fit the big rocks in. But if you put the big rocks in first, the pebbles can just fill in all the gaps around them. So looking at your life, what are your big rocks? And are you putting them in first? You know, success isn't built in a day. It's built daily, step by step, choice by choice. And that's what we're all about here. If this explainer inspired you, please don't forget to like, leave a comment, and subscribe to Project U. Let's join this community of learners and achievers, and let's grow together.
Because that's what we live by here at Project U. Small steps, big change. Thanks so much for watching.